liberalism is, in one sense, a series of conflicts and contradictions. On the one hand, the animal rights people will say a man is a mouse, is a titmouse, is a frog, meaning we're no different than the lowest forms of animal life. On the other hand, we're so damn superior we can destroy it all simply by our existence. Climate change. On the one hand, we're all capable of being controlled by a central government because none of us are capable of running our own lives. None of us are capable of doing the right thing by everybody else. None of us have the requisite amount of compassion. So we will not be as charitable on our own as a collectivist government would enforce upon us. So on the one hand, we're despicable, we're selfish, we're stupid. On the other hand, there are really smart people capable of inventing machines that will devour us. The conflicts that exist in liberalism confuse the people that believe in this stuff. I can tell you that not once in my life have I spent a microsecond worrying about whether or not machines are going to take over my life or devour me. Bill Gates, Stephen Hawking, Elon Musk, it seems it's the rage. The rage of today is the panic that artificial intelligence, we got to get a handle on it right now. We better start doing legislation. That means laws in Congress. We better start limiting what AI can do. Otherwise, it's going to devour us. This is an accepted scientific reality that we can't compete with the machines that we would invent. We can't compete and survive a war against the machines that we invent and create and program. What must life be like if you believe things like this? To think so little of yourself, and then at the same time think you're better and smarter than everybody else. My point is, don't worry about AI. Don't worry about Siri taking control of your car and driving you off a cliff. Don't worry about any of that. Worry about the artificial intelligence, the artificial education, and the mind-numbed robots that American education is creating today.
Wow. Prescient for our times. Hello, everyone. Robert Imbriale with you. Today, Lewis is taking a much-needed pause to take care of governor stuff. As you can imagine, that undertaking is not tiny. It's a big, big, big undertaking that he's doing. I can't fathom how much work he's going to be involved in over the next year. We've learned a lot about the governor's race and what's going on here in California. I'm making a list of things I want to see changed in California, and I'm going to give him a list at some point and say, Lewis, now you're in power. Here's what I want to see done. I don't know. It's overwhelming when you think about where we are as a state. Boy, we have a good show for you in store. Make sure you like, follow, and certainly share this with your friends and followers. I think you're going to get a lot of value out of today's show because I got my buddy Matt Geiger with me today. Matt, welcome in.
What's going on, my man? Good to see you, Robert.
Good to see you live and in person. Well, actually on camera here, but soon to be live and in person. We'll have some news about that coming forward. How you been?
Great. Staying busy, trying to do everything I can to, raise money for Lewis. I just talked to the viewers right now, anything you guys can do to help Lewis with the fundraising. He doesn't talk about it too much on his own show, so I'm going to do it for him. But, Verity, my company, Verity Metals, we're going to be doing, anybody that does, cash purchase, IRA, 401k, we're going to take some of those proceeds. Anybody coming in now, moving forward, we're going to take some of those proceeds directly into the campaign. So it could be a win-win, right? Anybody, right? You're going to probably be buying gold and silver. You may as well support Lewis and his efforts as governor because, we got to step up to the plate. Unfortunately, our system still requires money to do it. As evil as we think money can be, unfortunately, it's much needed to get Lewis a good head start. So let's, even if it's a $5 donation, try to get Lewis something out there.
Absolutely. And if you can't, part with money, certainly give him prayers and give him loving support because that'll help as well. And for those of us who are in California, lawn signs and bumper stickers and all that will be coming. And, we'll have to put those out and, certainly put those bumper stickers on any Prius that you see. I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
It's my least favorite cars are the Priuses and the Subarus. I think the Subarus are almost worse than the Priuses.
Yeah, in some ways. But the Prius is always in the way. No matter where you're going, there's a Prius in the way.
In other car makers, they make like Subaru-like cars. Those are included as Subarus, by the way.
Ah,
Just FYI.
cool. What do you think about that little clip by Rush Limbaugh about the AI?
Man, he was great. I hope he's one of those people that's still alive. That maybe Trump used the medical technology that exists. We obviously saw him at the what was it, the State of the Union, and he looked like he was in bad shape. I think that was maybe a couple weeks even before he passed. And I love Rush. I remember growing up listening to Rush. He's a legend, and wherever he is, God bless him.
I was listening to his comment there at the end about AI and where he went with that, and I think it's really fascinating that it is the same. And I'm going to go give you a quick story here. It is the same hysteria that we had when the internet first came out, and I've talked about this before. But it actually goes a lot back a lot further than that. Did you know, Matt, why was the speed limit initially only 35 miles an hour when cars were first invented?
Why? Probably because that's how fast cars even went.
They had cars that could go faster,
This is one of
but
those.
there was
What do they
fear
call
and
it?
hysteria about the cars going over 35 miles an hour because what?
I didn't hear the question. Sorry, I was trying to.
So there was a lot of hysteria about the cars going more than 35 miles an hour. There was great fear about that. Do you know why the fear was there? What
Tell me.
was it about?
Tell me.
It was new technology, right?
Right.
So women up until that point were only on horseback and horse and buggy and that kind of thing. And where'd they go? 5 miles an hour, that kind of thing. They had this belief, and I kid you not, that if a woman went over 35 miles an hour, her uterus would fall out.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. That's good.
So every time there is world-changing technology, we
Right.
saw the hysteria in the 80s when home computers, Commodore 64, VIC-20, right, TRS-80, TI, Texas Instruments, all these guys came out with these home computers, and people were freaked out about it. Right? They were like, "Oh my God, we're going to be replaced. And no, there'll be no more
Right.
jobs. There'll be
Right.
no businesses." All the hysteria that we heard, all of it. And now we're in the same boat, playing the same playbook again with AI.
Well, to me, you know who's great with AI? You know who's excellent with it with AI? Lewis.
Yeah, he argues with it. I love it.
It's fantastic. You should watch Lewis if you haven't already. Watch Lewis on AI. He's got it down pat.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is a technology that does it have the potential to be nefarious? Of course it does. But, there's a lot of us who don't want it to go that way, and, it'll be the fight. Computers taking over industries, yeah, it happened. A lot of jobs don't exist anymore because of computers. But a lot of new jobs were created, and AI is going to be the same thing. It's going to replace some jobs, but the reality is it's going to create a lot of new opportunity because it gets rid of a lot of the mundane work. I give you a quick example. I just wrote a new ebook using AI. It took me an afternoon. It's about 13,000 words, and I didn't let AI write the whole thing. I just asked different questions in different ways, and went on different AIs and cobbled it all together. And then I put the finished product into AI, and I said, "Format this as an ebook for me," and it came back and gave me a nice PDF. It was like that would have taken me 2 weeks to do that, and I did it in an afternoon. Crazy, huh?
I don't really use the AI stuff, Robert. I haven't really gotten into it, but I started taking some classes in it. Just like you can download an app and take some classes and learn some of the programming for it. But I really want to start indulging myself in the stuff because it's. I mean, I see what some people are doing with it. It's unbelievable.
It is. It really is. And it's kind of fun to see the possibilities of it. And I know one of the questions we have today is about AI taking over their job, and we're going to talk about that. So today's show is, we'll get into it. It is viewer mail. I know I like to call it viewer mail because well, yeah, it was a David Letterman thing, right? Way back when he was funny before he went crazy. He was a
Right.
funny guy. Yeah, viewer mail, and so we're asking we're actually answering your questions, and if you're on my Telegram or Lewis's Telegram, Lisa puts out a post that says, hey, if you have any questions for Lewis, and in this case it's Matt and Rob, but send it our way. So we've got a handful of questions, and we can expand the conversation in different directions. And if you're in the chat room, certainly post questions that you might have there. If we have time, we'll jump on those as well. Are you ready to play, my friend?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, let's make sure people know that they can go over to veritymetals.com and get all the information. Matt loves to talk to people, by the way. So if you ever catch Matt, he's always on the phone. He loves to chat with his clients. He loves to make sure that they're informed when they make an investment, that they go in eyes wide open, and they know what they're getting into. They know how to get out of it. I think that's a big question I hear too. How do you get out of it? How do I sell the gold and silver back? Well, he can answer those questions for you. And then the other question that comes up a lot is, how do I store it? Where do I store it? Matt's got a ton of answers for you there. So I encourage you, go visit him, veritymetals.com. Matt, give us your cell phone number.
You could call, my direct cell, which is 480-717-9081. I think we gave you guys a designated number, but just call my cell. Your viewers, it's like they call in and it's like we already know each other. It's a big community. So, I love you guys, and, everybody that's, come on board. Thank you for the great reviews and all the good stuff. So,
And guys, look at that face. Does that look like a used car salesman to you?
I hope not.
We're two guys from Long Island having a little bit of fun here. That's okay. We can do that.
We have that New York edge,
New York edge. We can go over the top, and we can bump each other and still have a lot of love and respect, as we do. No question. Carla is asking this question today. Can you explain Zim bonds, what Trump meant by August 1 payouts, and whether that's NESARA, the wealth transfer, or a combination thereof? Both.
So, Carla, I am not an expert in Zim bonds. To my understanding, they're going to revalue with the dollar, something to that effect. I don't really follow this stuff. I really kind of focus on the precious metals, kind of what's going on in the world. This stuff, look, I have friends that are really into this stuff, and there absolutely could be something to it. It's way too speculative for me. I saw Juan talking about it. He basically said the same thing in an interview he did with Nino the other day. It's very speculative stuff. I would say if you're interested in it and you have the patience to get into this, you have the means to do it, I certainly wouldn't go put your life savings in it. But hey, I experiment with the cryptocurrencies too, right? I think a lot of that stuff's speculative. Probably a lot of it's going to turn out to be a total scam. But who knows? I probably get into the stuff more out of fear of missing out, FOMO, right? I probably do that stuff, the crypto stuff more based on FOMO than anything else. And that's to give myself a plug here. I think a no-brainer is gold and silver because it's something tangible. We'll put it in your hands. It's constitutional. Right. But have fun, go nuts with the Zim bonds. I hope anybody who's doing it, I hope you guys make millions of dollars, and, you could look back at me and laugh at me for not getting involved in it.
I was thinking about the comment that Trump made, and I think people are picking up on this, that there'll be August 1st payouts. And we have no more information about it. It just came up sort of in one of his press conferences, and there'll be big payouts on August 1st. He said something like that, and that was the end of it. There was nothing more. So I'm on the same boat with you there, and it's like it's speculative. If it happens, I think we'll all be patting each other on the back, doing high fives.
We'll know in a week, right? We're going to know
in a week. Exactly.
So let's see what happens. Maybe we'll do another show and talk about it.
And as far as NESARA goes, NESARA, we've been hearing about that. Gosh, it's been 20 years that's been out or more. It's been longer than that. But we've been hearing a lot about it. I think that is, in my view, very similar to the U.S. Constitution, right? The Constitution is aspirational. The guys who wrote it knew they could never live up to it. You know that? They got to a point and they said, no, we can never live up to this Constitution. But they said if there was a society that could, they would end up with the greatest country in the world, was what they aspired to. And if you look at the Constitution the way it is today, there's so many laws on the books that are not constitutional. So have we ever lived up to it? And the answer is no, we haven't. A very simple example, look at the gun laws here in California. A lot of them are unconstitutional. I mean, the government's not supposed to interfere with your ability to acquire guns, but here they do. You have to show ID and a passport, and you have to have a registered gun to be able to buy ammo. You have to go through this whole background check just to buy a couple of rounds of ammo, right? So
And I
that's unconstitutional. Shouldn't be there.
100%.
And a lot of the guns that you buy, a lot of them that are banned, didn't say anything in the Constitution about that. You should be able to have cannons if you want to, right?
Even the way it worked back in the day when this country was founded is that, let's say you went and shot somebody, you went to jail. As soon as you got out of jail, they hand you back your gun with the rest of your possessions,
Yeah.
because it's a God-given right. I just had a great conversation with the True Stream guys, Scott specifically. Joe wasn't there for that episode on Monday, but we had Loy, our good friend Loy Brunson, on. And I thought he made a great point about how this country has been subverted really through ignorance of the Constitution.
Well, yeah, no question. It's not
Right?
taught in schools.
It's not taught in schools. And I'll even give Loy a plug on this show is go to TrumpConstitution.com, pick up Loy's book, and you're going to learn about the Constitution like you've never learned about it before. I would encourage everybody to do it. You can get a signed copy. I think that one's a little pricey, but just get the basic, it's a tabletop book. Get a copy of that. Get familiar with the Constitution, because the reason why this deep state's been able to get away with what they've been able to get away with is our ignorance of the Constitution. And that includes myself. I'm trying to step up to the plate and learn this stuff too. So, don't feel like, hey, you don't know this stuff. Go learn it. It's as simple as picking up that book and giving it a couple of reads.
Yeah, no question. Susan is saying there's no chat showing for her. Susan, I don't think there's anybody in the chat because I'm seeing your chat, but nobody else's. So, guys, if you're watching, jump into the chat room. Show us a sign of life. It gives us some immediate feedback. We love to hear from you. So yeah, I think this era is that it's aspirational. It would be kind of cool if it happened. It would format our entire financial system to make it from what it is today. And I think, if we want to get to that point, I think a lot of stuff would have to be torn down. You can no longer fix it. I was thinking about this morning. It's like, all the laws that are being passed, they never repeal laws. You ever hear that? You ever hear of a law being repealed? It's very rare, right?
Exactly.
It's like a pink elephant. You just don't see it. What they do is they create new laws on top of it. So if you really want to follow the law, you might say, okay, what's the law today? Well, there's only part of it. What does that mean? Oh, it repealed or it changed that part that was done in the 70s, and that changed something that was done back in the 1800s. I mean, it's just like, how are you supposed to follow this? It's such a mess.
Well, that's how they do it, right? They get us with this whole very complex legal system that no one understands. And they morph it into whatever they feel like it. Like you point out, they don't repeal anything; they just build on top. Right? They're building their infrastructure to take us over. And look where we've ended up. Right? Look at California with the gun laws. I mean, it's absurd. Anybody should be able to go out there and buy a gun. Sure, we should have background checks. You should be able to get suppressors. It's like why do I have to go through the alcohol, tobacco, firearms, the ATF? Why do I have to go through them to get a suppressor? That should be suppressed. Sure, they look cool and you see them in the movies and da-da-da-da-da. But it's like, really, what do? They save your hearing.
Pretty much, yeah.
A 338 Lapua rifle, huge round. I mean, it's kind of nice to suppress a round like that. I mean, that is a violent caliber.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the whole system's backwards, the story.
No, it does. And you look at the tax system, the same thing. It's like nobody understands the tax code. It's just law over law over law. And it's like, well, which version of this rule are we following, right? And that's why I got the great accountant. He knows everything. I'm like, okay, well, there you go. Question for Matt from Devona. Matt, I got 2023 coins that look like quarters, but don't say U.S. quarter, $1. Quarter dollar. The back shows a woman's upper body. Are they real? Why are they so different?
Based on your description there, Devana, I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly. You're welcome to text me. You can text at 480-717-9081. You can text that number some photos, and I can kind of decipher what you have and what the values are. Be happy to do it for you. That stuff's easy. Hopefully, good. Hopefully, they're real silver.
Yeah, that would be well. You have a test. You could drop them on the table, and you could hear a certain ring, right? You do
exactly.
That.
Yep.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that's probably the best way to test silver or gold, for that matter. Is I have a little device here. I've got the fancy, expensive equipment to test stuff, but realistically, and this is just for coins. You can it's a little wooden thing, and it clamps the coin, and you hit it with a stick, and you can hear the ping. So that's probably the best way to tell real gold from silver. But you have to know what to listen for.
I wonder if that could be a memorabilia coin that was just stamped and it's not really U.S. currency. It's just a sort
It's
of a
definitely not
collectible.
U.S. currency, but it's probably, if it's real silver, it's probably just a round with a design on it. They
Yeah.
make rounds with Darth Vader on the they make all kinds of kind of fun, goofy stuff
Yeah.
on silver rounds. So who
Yeah,
knows?
there's no law about what you can stamp onto a round. I mean, do whatever you want with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, no. If you want to text Matt, you can text him. He'll have a
feel
look
free.
at it for you.
Happy to help.
Yeah. Always happy to help. All right. We have a question from Ellen. What is Ellen asking here? Should the U.S. take a stand for morality and outlaw Satanism like Russia has, or will we keep protecting darkness in the name of freedom? Deep question.
I love the question.
Okay.
So I find that Satanism tends to coalesce with socialism and communism, right? I feel like there's a lot of those elements that get into Satanism. Again, we were talking with Lloyd the other night, and Lloyd pointed out, I think it's Article 6 of the Constitution. Socialism is actually against the Constitution. So you see all these morons, Memdani or whoever this idiot is in New York, they're all pushing social, Bernie Sanders, right? These guys should be out of office because it's actually unconstitutional. It's against the Constitution to push socialism. So now how does that apply to Satanism? If you want to worship Satan, in my view, that's your freedom. You can do that. But all the other nonsense that comes with that, which probably aligns itself with socialism, that's actually unconstitutional and against the law. That's how I would answer it, at least.
We never in this country would have believed that there would be people who would believe in communism. Because I remember growing up in school and we were taught how bad communism was and how horrible these communist countries were. And, United States is all about freedom and this and that. And yet it creeped into a point where it's infiltrated the Democratic Party pretty substantially. A lot of them you could actually call communists from some of the things that they're rooting for here.
Yeah, and what's unfortunate about it is you can see that they built this country with inflation, all kind, everything, college tuition being, 50, 100 grand a year. So what do? They really they created this market for younger people to buy into the socialism. And it's like there's a part of me that actually kind of doesn't blame them because look at the world that they were handed, right? They're not just getting out of college and getting jobs with very little debt. I mean, these kids are up to their ears in debt coming out of college with no job opportunities and nothing but debt. So you can see that the deep state really has kind of created the conditions for socialism to thrive among our youth. And that's something that we have to take into consideration. We have to fix that.
Well, it really infiltrated the school system. So yeah, they do come out there.
Yeah.
They're seriously indoctrinated into this, and I don't know how we escaped it, Matt, in our years there, but we did, or maybe we tuned it out. I don't know which, but yeah, it's not the same anymore. You see kids coming out of college today, and they spout things off, and you got to scratch your head and going, "What are you talking about? That's not the way the world is at all." You know what I mean?
It's that good New York upbringing that we got.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
it was.
absolutely. Yes,
Not New York
Patchogue,
City,
Long
Long Island.
Island. Where were you on Long Island, by the way?
I grew up in Port Washington.
Oh, Port Washington. I grew up in Patchogue, so
That's right.
yeah. South Shore, North Shore. Two
Right down
different
the
kinds
street.
of Long Islanders, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
You were on Long Island Sound. I was on the ocean side, so
Yep.
just to give you an idea there,
Yep.
where it is. All right, Ellen. Yeah, we don't want to protect darkness. That is not the goal, and we're in a space right now, or a time right now, where so much of this is being exposed, where it was all hidden before, in our movies, in our music, right? All the Satanist worshiping stuff was all hidden. It was in front of us, but we didn't know about it. Nobody talked about it, and now all of a sudden it's all being exposed, right? Over and over again, you see more and more exposure of it, and that is how you kill it. You shine the light on it, and that's how it make it go away. And people will start rejecting it because they figure out what it is. And then as more and more of us start to do that, by the next generation, a lot of that stuff's going to be removed. It won't be there anymore. And you can see some of the movies that have the satanic slants and stuff, they go nowhere. The moment it comes out that that's what the messaging is in that movie, people don't go. So we vote with our dollars.
I turned off all the sports leagues, once I started seeing the pride nonsense. I mean, I used to love the New York Mets, right? Over in Flushing, Queens.
Mm-hmm.
They had freaking Pride Day. I couldn't believe that the stadium people didn't walk out of the stadium. I
Yeah.
stopped watching football, and I love sports. It's unfortunate because I used to love football, baseball, hockey. I still watch because it hasn't been quite as affected, but it's just they've spoiled the fun.
Hockey started in 2020 when everything was shut down. They started
They tried.
hockey skates for Black Lives as far as they went, and the pushback was quite severe. Hockey fans are a different breed. It's a different kind
Right.
of sport. Yeah, they didn't take kindly to that. So I used to go see the Islander games at Nassau Coliseum. I used to go there a lot. As a fan of Islanders when I was there, but now, out here I'm a Canadians fan again because I grew up in Montreal. So but yeah, darkness will go away when we shine the light on it. I think we got to keep doing that, guys. And vote with your dollars. If the NFL has gone woke, then stop. Stop watching it. I know it's hard, but you could fill in those 3 hours with something more productive, couldn't you? you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, uh, we got a question here from Sam. Did you know unalienable really means unalienable, as in no one can put a lien on your rights? Why has that meaning been hidden? This is a Lewis question.
Well, it's a great, and I didn't know that, but I also know, for example, the Declaration of Independence, right? So you take independence. So we're independence, right? There's a lot of this legalese and verbiage that these guys have used that have just gone completely unnoticed. And you're
Yeah.
exactly right, Sam. Just the language that's been used in the Constitution, the law, all these different places. We didn't even notice this stuff. One of our good friends, Robert, you know her, Mickey Klon, and her friend Jesse, they're all about this stuff, and they are actually in the process of essentially creating a new republic. I mean, they're creating the guidelines. I mean, it's fascinating stuff. It's way over my pay grade, but I mean, we have some really great patriots that are picking up on stuff what you're talking about, Sam, and doing something about it. So
Yeah.
we're very lucky to have those two patriots in our corner.
Yeah, and I think there are those people who really dig into this, the Latin root of words, and
Yeah,
Tony Robbins does it too, and helps us with the psychology of understanding that. But yeah, it applies everywhere because our language is English is an interesting language. It's made up of so many words from different languages and
right.
Latin base, uh, we use it. English language is 30,000 words that we use regularly. 30,000. You think that's quite a lot, right? And then you think about something like French, and the average French person uses 60,000 words. So it's a
And
much
I've
more
heard we've been
precise
speaking our
language.
own language. I've heard that we've even been speaking our own language like completely incorrectly.
Yes.
Yes. It gets into some really wild stuff that, like I said, it's over my pay grade, but it's interesting stuff, Sam, and I think it's a great question.
It is, and we'll have to pose that one to Lewis too, because I'm sure he'll have, something
Oh
to
yeah.
add to that as well. All right, let's see here. Let's put on a little Verity Metals video for you guys. Get you in the mood for investing in gold and silver.
There's no better time to get into precious metals than right now. Markets are unstable, systems are failing, and collapse isn't a theory, it's a countdown. That's why smart patriots are turning to tangible assets like gold and silver. Real value you can hold in your hands. Verity Metals is here to help you protect what matters most. Whether you're stacking for the first time or securing your long-term wealth, Matt Geiger will guide you every step of the way. Text Matt at 480-717-9081. There
Just long enough to have a sip of coffee and come back to it. Guys, Matt is the guy to go to if you want to talk about precious metals. And I got to tell you, silver's holding right about 39 right now. It's at 38 and change, but, it's gone up quite a bit. We bought silver several years ago, 22, 21, 22. It gets to 42 and you've doubled your money in, 5 years to 7 years, something like that. It's crazy.
Over the price of silver. that it's been very frustrating because it should move, right? If all things were fair and equal, which of course we know they're not, silver would probably be in the hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Gold, maybe even the thousands of dollars. Gold in the tens of thousands of dollars. But unfortunately, the politicians, along with their with the bankers, it's in their best interest to suppress these prices. But yeah, silver's got a long way to go. Don't feel silver's probably going to hit, from what I hear, $50 by the end of the summer. You still haven't missed the boat. I mean, even buying silver at 50, it's still a great deal. Sure, you're not like Robert or myself, where I think some of my silver, Robert, I think in my early days, I think I got some of my silver about $13 an ounce.
Wow.
And the premiums at that time were like 20 cents over spot. Even the premiums have gone way up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you haven't missed the boat, and I think it's such a great opportunity because what are we seeing? We're seeing the Federal Reserve System falling apart. I've been talking in every show that I've been going on. What did we notice lately, Robert? We noticed that Trump built a fence around both the White House and the Treasury. So what does that signal? That signals something probably that, right, he's trying to strengthen the Treasury, and we're moving from the Federal Reserve System to the Treasury, and it's already in motion. It's already happening. So I would be more concerned about getting out of this system, this fake, phony, and false Federal Reserve System, and you buy gold and silver, whatever price it is. It's really not going to matter in my view. But there's still great opportunity even at these levels. Gold sitting at about 3,400 right now, spot. Silver at about 39 and some change. I mean, we got a long way to go in my view.
Yeah. I did a little bit of research on silver, and I went back to 1989, I think the chart went back to, and I wanted to see how many years was silver worth less. And there was just 2 years. In all these years, it dropped in value twice, and those were just kind of anomalies. It's just certainly not the norm. So it's a store of value. I mean, that's the way you got to look at it. As the value of the U.S. dollar drops, then the value of the precious metals goes up, but the buying power of the precious metal will always be the same. Which is, it's a complicated calculation for some people to make. But if you've got retirement fund, if you've got money set away for a rainy day, you put it in precious metals, it stays at that value, it doesn't decline. And you'll still have the same buying power later on when you go to sell it, because it will increase in value.
It's a great place to save money. I found it when I was in my 20s and I was terrible with money. I found it to be a great savings tool. Right? Or you take your savings today and you stick it into precious metals, right? It's almost like you have to operate in this, this phony Federal Reserve System, whether we agree with it or not. We know the whole thing's a scam, but it's like, hey, you need a new roof. Unfortunately, as of right now, you can't buy it in gold or silver. Maybe you can, right? Maybe people will start taking when things get bad, but you find a balance. I think Kathy Austin Fitts said it best. It's like, you position, stuff that you're not touching, you put that into gold and silver. And then you have, a checking account, maybe a little bit in the savings and, phony fiat money. Right, you kind of find a balance, and then retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks, that should be a no-brainer. You get that stuff you got to get out of these financial institutions, right? These financial institutions are completely insolvent. They've been having problems. We've seen 80 bank closures since 2022, 2023, something like that, and no one's talking about it. These should be front page articles on the Wall Street Journal. But what does the Wall Street Journal post instead? Fake letters from Trump to Epstein. This is your news media. Right, so they're not going to tell you, but I'll tell you. Robert will tell you. Lewis will tell you.
Unless you can trade stocks like Nancy Pelosi.
If you can trade stocks like Nancy Pelosi, I say stay in the market.
Stay in the market. That's what I would say. Stay in the market if you could do that. All right, let's go to our next question. We have a question from Laura. Shouldn't there be a clear deterrent for abusing children so every predator knows exactly what consequences await him? Yeah, I think so.
No doubt.
There should be. No question, right?
Child abuse, I mean, look, you slap your kid around, I don't think you should be put to death for something like that. Maybe some kids these days need to be slapped around a little bit. But, anything like what we hear about in this deep state stuff that we hear on the boards and whatnot, fast trial, quick death, no questions asked. You're done.
Look who's here.
Hey.
We have a surprise guest.
Hey, surprise guest here. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing well. How you doing over there, huh?
Hey, good. The governor. It's interesting, someplace in the Bible it talks about putting a millstone around the neck of those who harm children. I don't know. Maybe they figure that out way before we did in our corrupt legal system.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Corrupt legal system.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How you boys doing? Anything going on?
Doing great. Staying busy.
Yep. It's
Hot as
big.
hell.
Does Big Mike still have a penis?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yep.
loved what you
I'm
said on
looking
the.
forward to looking at these documents that came out this morning. Apparently, there's some pretty salacious stuff in there
Lewis, I
about
love what you
Hillary
said.
Clinton being unable to fulfill her duties too, which is what? Yeah, suffering from mental illness and heart issues, and they were scared.
But I was going to say, Lewis, I love what you said on the roundtable the other day with Nino and Jaco and company about they need to reveal that Michelle Obama's a man first to get foot soldiers off the battlefield.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's my thought process on this. So I believe it's going to come out very clear that Obama not only was authorizing this coup, but he authorized an assassination attempt on President Trump. I believe we're going to see that clear as a bell. I know there's been speculation on it, and Tulsi's hinted at it, but I think we're going to see it. So, but before the arrest, what I would personally like to see is I'd like them to start laying out the case. And then when they lay out the case, they need to add into the case a few things. We were lied to on every level. This guy has never been a citizen of the United States. He's from Kenya. Here's the proof. Michelle Obama is Michael Yvonne Robinson, right? Here's the proof. And it doesn't matter, guy. And literally, I should say, guys, it doesn't matter what their sex is. What matters is that they manipulated we the people. They're pretending to have children that they didn't even have. How far do you think they're going to have control? But it doesn't stop there, folks. It goes into the fact that look at the Bushes were completely in cahoots, and the Romneys and the McCains. And I think that's the level that we should lay it out. And then what happens is all these people that are on the playing field that really are going to come after us, I think you're going to take out 50, 60, 70% of them. And then you do the arrest. Because if they did the arrest today, we would have riots all over the place. So I think we have to be very strategic on how they lay this out. That's my opinion. This is why I keep saying, guys, we have to have patience. The only people that are upset about this are the people that know the truth. So you have to remember that we, the people that are watching this, you're upset only because you know the truth. The other people still don't know the truth. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what you know. Therefore, they're not mad and they're not upset, right? And the other thing we have to be very, very aware of, we can demonize Obama all day long, but let's not forget there's 2 or 3 levels above him calling the shots.
Exactly.
It's clear to me that there's a specific timing going on with this because you could have started arrests, you could have started a lot of this years ago, and that they haven't tells me clearly there's another plan going on. I know, trust the plan again, right? But maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's really what's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Drop the Epstein files out of just nowhere. You want to build up the case against Obama so that later this is just a nail in the coffin for him. Right? This is just icing on the cake. So I agree with not releasing the Epstein files. I'm glad we didn't. I'd like to position them in such a way where they're weak most, and when they're weak most, that's where you really bring down the hammer.
yeah. And I cannot wait for the Republicans to fall with the Democrats because there's so many people that are hiding behind the Republican moniker as they're some type of freaking saints. And guys, you do not understand how this works if that's still your thought process. The Democrats are the demons in your face, and the Republicans are used as your buddy, and they're the demon, the snake in your bed. I'm not saying all Republicans. I think I'm underestimating when I'd say 80%.
Agreed.
And that's a scary thought because
Yep.
we have to understand that we are under a controlled operation. That's what's going on right now. So you take down the Democrat Party, and then you need to go for the bad Republicans and clean that out completely. And I don't think you'll even have parties left standing. We don't need parties. The founding fathers didn't talk about having all these parties. That was not in their realm of thinking that we would need all these parties.
There were different parties back then when they first started the party system too. They had different names. They weren't Democrats, Republicans. I remember looking at that and I was like, wow, this is really interesting. It's like there were a lot of different parties and it just coalesced under two. It's kind of the same that happens in industry. You know, there are many car manufacturers at first and then now we've got three. You know what I mean? It's just like it just
Well, you're
consolidates.
right. And the purpose of the parties back in the day, you're talking about the Whig Party and so on and
Hmm.
so forth. The reason why there were parties back in the day had zero to do with the electorate. And it was so they understood who they were talking to from a political standpoint. That's what the party was, because what it would do is it would streamline that conversation a little bit because they would already know where you're coming from in many, many cases. But then they were used in the public, which that is the critical mistake in my opinion, is when they did that. So I believe we should eliminate all parties, and you can have committees with inside politics. So you do understand. You go, okay, they're from that committee. I get where they're coming from a little bit. So that streamlines the conversation, and they know, okay, this 80% we agree on. Let's work on this 20%. It's so much common sense if we just take a deep breath and really think about things. We don't need hard, complicated solutions. We need easy, common sense solutions that are not manipulative, which they currently are, clearly.
So will digital currency help with that? Because that seems to be the promise and what Trump is talking about. I know we don't want the central bank digital currency, but I don't know if you digitize the U.S. dollar, aren't we there? And the idea is that it's supposed to eliminate a lot of the corruption because you could track every transaction.
Well, yes. Here's what we also have to look at. We have to be realists. Did we stop the internet from happening? Nope. Are we
Absolutely.
stopping AI from happening? Electricity from happening? Some things have so much momentum, there's really nothing we can do about it. And therefore, what we have to do is put the right people in place to be able to monitor it and make things done properly. Because if they are done under a true unbreakable blockchain system, right, they could actually, in some respects, be more secure than a dollar with a serial number on it. The challenge though is when you have the government in control of it,
Yep.
that's the big scary part right there.
Yep.
And so we have to figure that out. But these are conversations I don't think we run from. We run to it and have these authentic conversations. Say, hey, this is what we're our concern. If we care about we the people, how are we gonna prevent this from being used against them? Right. And if you don't have the answers, then you don't roll it out.
Well,
And
that's
I
why
think
it always comes back to us, right? It's always going to come back to we the people and what we want. And when we lock arms and we say no more, it needs to stop. It's like that's how we have power, and we've got to remember that because it's been really educated out of us, if you will. We go through our school system, we go through the indoctrination, and we all feel like we have no power, but we actually do. We have a lot of power.
Yeah, and I think when you move from this phony Federal Reserve system to a sovereign constitutional money system, um, there's going to be a lot of speed bumps in the way. There's going to be a lot of problems associated. It's not going to be just some soft landing. I think Trump will try to make it as soft as possible,
Mhm.
but it's not going to be easy. And I think people stand to lose money in that process, which is also why I think gold and silver is a great place. But I think with gold and silver, because it's tangible, it's something that has a track record. What happens during a financial collapse? People are going to lose trust between them and their banks, them and their government, right? So you're going to really, if you kind of extrapolate and start to think about how that plays out, you're going to have to sort of build that trust back. And I think the only way you can do that is with tangible items like a gold coin or a silver coin, right? I think that has to. I think sometimes they say, "What is it? The old ways are the best ways." I think that's the case, and I think what the digital technology will do is it will simplify the monetary system and secure the monetary system with that backing of gold and silver as our money.
I agree. In fact, one of the biggest challenges I've had with crypto is the monetary value of crypto is based on the speed, the power, and the cooling elements of a computer. That's really where you get your value from crypto, and so on and so forth. And I'm not a crypto expert, but I've said for a long time, is there not a way to value crypto against real access minerals? Right. And I know there is, and I believe there is. What if we had a rainbow currency, as we talked about, some type of currency, physical handheld currency, and crypto that were valued and supported by gold, silver, platinum, even natural gas if you want to go that far, some type of in the ground asset. I believe it's possible. I would hate to see, and I'm going to be public about this, I would hate to see the disappearance of handheld money. I think that puts us down a road that will end up screwing us because you'll eventually get somebody evil in there that controls everything. Now, to have the options, have both, I think is a very safe way to do that, just like you would diversify any type of investment. There's no difference.
Yeah, and I also think deflating the system from the trillions and quadrillions of dollars back into the millions and billions, right? We need to bring value to our, pennies, quarters, nickels, dimes, right? You used to be able to go into a movie theater, flip them a quarter, and you go have your pick of the movie that you want. We need to get back to prices like that, where a gallon of milk is 50 cents. It's very important that we deflate the system out of where we are. This is madness. This is, you factor in all the money. We're in the quadrillions of dollars, folks. That is an outrageous, outrageous number.
Yeah, and I know this is a scary thought for a person running for governor to say, but this is just I'm considering these options and how to tackle this. Our monetary system is built on theft, and it has been for a long time. Why do we have an obligation to pay back debt that was built on theft? Why can't we just collapse the system and start over?
I just processed somebody's credit card for a purchase, right? Because we do take credit and debit card, and they did $5,000 on their credit card. I had to charge them a 3% processing fee. That's $150.
Mhm.
Guys, we're in the wrong business. We got to get into the credit card processing.
Right.
Oh yeah.
We
Oh
make
yeah.
a fortune.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So we have to consider that maybe collapsing the system intentionally, right, is the best way to reset it. And think about why are we paying back debt to fraudulent systems? It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, because fraud does vitiate everything. So can we just do a ground zero reset? I don't know. Now, I'm not talking about real debt that is legal. Everybody should own that debt, and they should do the responsibility. They should take care of it. But the U.S. government paying fraudulent China and what they've done, right? And it's not the U.S. government. That's you and me, Robert, and everybody watching that's paying that debt off. It doesn't make any sense at all. That should be money that goes right back to we the people in a sovereign wealth fund, and maybe that's part of the plan. I don't know.
Yeah, the sovereign wealth fund is probably where people should be looking, because what are we discovering now? We're discovering that this country is sitting on tremendous resources. I mean, this is God's country. I think
Yeah.
they found multi-trillion-dollar lithium mines in both, I think, South Carolina and one of the Dakotas, north or south. I mean, this is just tremendous, and that's just the lithium. I mean, we got natural gas, we have oil, we have gold, we've got silver. And what have the politicians done? They've hid it underground so that we never touch it, that we never explore that wealth. Well, let's sell that wealth,
Yeah.
put that money in the sovereign wealth fund, and everybody lives like kings.
Yep, agreed. Guys, I just want to stop by and say hi. Everybody go to hermsforcali.com. We need all the support. We just found out kind of a cool thing yesterday that anybody in any state and any country can donate to our campaign. And in order for us to fight this, we're going to need donations. And I was advised yesterday that, Lewis, you shouldn't be asking for donations. All your friends and all your supporters have. I go, well, I'm gonna have to, because nobody else is doing it on my behalf. So for now, go to hermsforcali.com, and I promise one thing is we will spend the money appropriately. We're not frivolously, but we have some great things going on. I have a representative right now in Washington, D.C. on my behalf, talking to the RFK Jr. team literally as we speak, and they're getting great headway with them. So we have a lot of cool things coming.
Lewis, just to be clear, Herms for Cali, the number 4, F-O-R.
FOR.
F-O-R.
FOR
Herms for Cali.
Cali.com.
Okay, cool. Just want to be
And
clear with
Lewis,
that.
I also announced at the beginning of that before you showed up, Verity Metals, anybody coming into the show, we're going to do an additional donation from every single piece of business that comes in. I don't care if it's $100 silver purchase. So we're going to take a percentage of our profits, put it directly into Lewis's campaign. and that starts right here, right now.
Cool. Appreciate it, Matt.
course.
Thank you, Robert. You guys take care. Enjoy.
Good seeing you, Lewis. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Wow. A nice